It might sound funny, but Monster Summer has a monster-sized problem because it can't find its tone throughout its runtime. Sometimes erring on the side of being made for your young 8 to 12 audience, and other times being made for that older young adult audience. Unfortunately, because it can't find the right balance or pick a direct lane, Monster Summer just rings a bit flat. Tonight in movie reviews, folks, talking Monster Summer. Stay tuned. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. Like I mentioned, tonight in reviews, we are talking Monster Summer, which you can go and check out for yourself right now on Paramount Plus. Go and sign up, check it out, and let me know in the comment section what you ultimately thought of this film. And of course, get subscribed, hit that follow button no matter where you are watching or listening to this review. Got a lot of great stuff on my channel for all the horror content that you can want. Coming up in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to have an interview with Sam Lasky, one of the writers of the upcoming horror film Ick, which hits theaters on July 27th. And if you go back, you can check out my latest Tales from the Crypt triple feature, where we cover the episodes of Two-Fisted Tales, including Showdown, King of the Road, and Yellow. You do not want to miss it, y'all. Again, hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button no matter where you are watching or listening. But let's not waste any time and jump right on into things here. If you have not seen the trailer for Monster Summer yet, this revolves around young Noah, an aspiring writer in his small town. He believes that there is a witch running around abducting his friends and other young children, and it's up to him to find out if it's true and stop this witch once and for all. Unable to convince his friends, he turns to his neighbor, a retired detective who is the only one who can help him get to the bottom of this case. And there it is, folks. That is Monster Summer. Now, like I mentioned, the biggest problem this film is going to ultimately have with viewers is that it can't pick a lane with the kind of story it wants to tell you. At times, the events of the film, whether we're involving this witch directly or the backstory of a number of these characters, it falls more into a serious side, like along the lines of, I don't know, let's say like a Silver Bullet or even something like a Monster Squad, to where it feels like there can actually be consequences for the characters in this film. But the problem is, it doesn't hold that line because all the other parts of the movie scream like it's made for a really younger crowd. Again, something like a Ernest Scared Stupid, or even in some ways like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. And the issue is that because the film can't pick a lane, it leaves older viewers a little confused on to how they're really supposed to enjoy this film. For the story itself, at the beginning of this film, we see a chase scene between this witch and a young kid who has seemingly proven that there's a witch in this town, and unfortunately for him, the chase ends with him getting caught. Then as the movie keeps progressing, we're following around Noah as one of his own friends gets abducted, and while that friend ultimately is returned, not returned the same, doesn't seem to have a soul is the best way to ultimately describe this, and when Noah's friends don't believe him that this is likely the work of a witch coming to their town, he turns to his neighbor, who is a retired detective, to help him truly find out what's going on. Now, of course, the detective doesn't believe that there's a witch involved, but he can't ignore the string of disappearances from kids, not only in their small town, but in that local area. So the two of them team up to try to figure out what's ultimately going on. And after Noah is able to finally prove that there is a witch in this town abducting children, it's up to the two of them to stop this witch from taking any more. Now, again, I've already mentioned that the tone here, unfortunately, just is not consistent enough to really find the type of movie that you can end up ultimately liking. And I wish for a bit better here because I do enjoy the behind the scenes team here on this film. You know, the director of this film, David Henry, has worked with witches numerous times here before. If that name doesn't strike a chord for you here, David Henry was the star of Wizards of Waverly Place. That's right, y'all. We are talking the Disney Channel show. But this is David Henry's directorial debut. And on writing duties here, again, a team that you should likely recognize, especially if you're a big Peanuts fan. You have Cornelius Uliano and Brian Schultz. They wrote the most recent Peanuts film that hit theaters, as well as a number, if not all, of the Peanuts specials that we've had since then. Welcome Home Franklin is a bop. for sure here. Now they have a good handle between this team on what kids really enjoy, and that makes it all the more surprising then they didn't just stick with a younger tone here for this film. It seems that, again, literally everything else in the film is at odds with the backstories of a number of these characters, and then the way that some of the horror is presented with these kids getting abducted and not necessarily being killed. You know, whether it's the backstory of Noah's father and the reason why he's not around, whether it's focusing on Carruthers, Noah's neighbor, who's the retired detective, and what happened with him and his wife and their son. These stories are not the kind of stories you would expect to see in a film that's focused on, like, again, a much younger crowd here. And so they clash with the rest of the film. The film feels really lighthearted in a number of places. It seems at times that it wants you to think of Summer of '84. If you haven't seen that film, that was about a group of kids who suspect they have a serial killer in their neighborhood. And then it turns out there really is a serial killer. And it's actually a really messed up film, honestly. It is not for that younger crowd. But at first, you wouldn't be amiss for thinking that it is made for, you know, your 8 to 12 audience. It is certainly not. And that's the issue here with Monster Summer. I could totally take if this was taking a tone of Summer of '84 and being far more serious than what the beginning of the film really leads to. But the issue is that every single time that the material actually does want to actually get more serious and more emotional here with us, something else happens that kind of just resets the progress that's being made. So that uneven tone made it really hard for me to sit there and honestly say that I really enjoyed it. Now, in front of the camera, the big draw here is going to be Mason Thames. You know him from The Black Phone, the upcoming sequel to Black Phone 2, and more recently, How to Train Your Dragon. I get it. Again, based on Thames being in this, you probably think that the pedigree of the film would be a bit better than what it is. And I have to imagine that he was likely cast in this coasting off what he was able to do for The Black Phone. And Thames is great in this. There's no issues with the portrayal of his role, but again, the material just doesn't ultimately serve him here. As for his co-stars, the thing is that he's really the focus of this film. We get to see his friends in here, but the friends ultimately don't play as big of a role in this as you would think, because this is not that kind of movie to where we're getting the group together like the Monster Squad or like the Goonies. This is very much focusing on the relationship between Noah and then his neighbor Carruthers. And that is the real crux of the film itself. And that relationship isn't bad at all, but it makes the friends showing up more annoying than anything else, because they don't really offer anything kind to Noah with this investigation, with the idea of knowing what's capturing all these kids in town. And so they just kind of stick out like a sore thumb. Nora Zettner shows up as Noah's mom, Abby, who I know from the wonderful neo-noir detective film Brick back in the mid-2000s. If you haven't seen Brick, go and check it out. It is one of the best detective stories out there, and she plays a great role in it. But she's ultimately wasted in this film as well, too, because the film builds up strife between her and Noah as well, but it's based around the fact that Noah's father isn't around, and she's busy trying to make sure that she can provide for herself and Noah's sister. But it really doesn't build to anything ultimately. Like, there's issues, there's fights, but there's no kind of like serious talk where the two end up getting to some kind of resolution. And not only that, Lorraine Bracco, who you know most recently from Nona's, but obviously more recognizable from Goodfellas or The Sopranos, another big wasted role too. And the poster, the marketing very much advertises her as being one of the main roles here in this film, and she's not. Spoiler alert, her character doesn't actually factor into much of anything. Earlier in the film, there is a nod that she might be more directly involved, but the moment that storyline like kind of peters out, that's it. So it seems confusing to have focused on her for so much of this marketing and just really not playing a role here at all. And I guess Kevin James shows up in it too, but it's just not served here for the collection of actors that are there. Again, Mason Thames is very clearly the draw for the film itself, but it does seem like everybody else featured ultimately just gets wasted in this one. As for the scares, again, we know not every horror film we see has to scare us, but the thing is that I don't know if I feel this is even something that would be creepy for your younger crowd, because it does play, again, just a bit too loose with that tone to where when the witch does show up, With the exception of maybe the very ending of the film itself, it's just not all that spooky or effective, honestly. Now, outside of that, I did think it was kind of fun to see Patrick Renna show up playing the umpire, Sandlot, and everything. That's super cool to get to see him show back up. And then I also thought it was fun that Barbara Goodson got to play the witch the majority of this film. If you don't know who Barbara Goodson is, she had a role, what was that called? Rita Repulsa? A witch out of Power Rangers, and getting to play a witch here as well. I think that's just fantastic for us 90s kids to see her pop back up. That's a lot of fun. But outside of those few things, there's just not a lot here going for this film. You can, of course, go and check this one out here for yourself right now on Paramount Plus, and of course, tell me in the comment section what you ultimately thought of it. But for me, Monster Summer ends up hitting a 2 out of 5. It's not one that I'm going to tell you to rush to go and see right now at all, folks. So, again, check this one out. Let me know what you thought of that, and get subscribed to my channel so you can stay on top of all the content I got coming out y'all's way. You can do that by going to linktr.ee/T Scary Movie. If you get subscribed, that's going to be access to the YouTube page for the video versions of the show, your favorite podcasting platforms for the audio-only versions of the show, to my Letterboxd page for my written reviews and movie rankings throughout the year, my TikTok page for my short horror content including movie news, movie premieres, and movie reviews, my Twitch page for my horror gaming, and my Fangoria shop page where you can enjoy a 20% discount off anything in the Fangoria shop. Take advantage of that, y'all. Hit that subscribe button. Got a lot of great stuff coming up here in the next week. We are going to start busting into Dexter Resurrection. We got I Know What You Did Last Summer right around the corner, The Toxic Avenger, Jurassic World Rebirth. Together, so much stuff coming out that I don't want y'all to miss here. So hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button, no matter where you are watching. And that is it for me here tonight, y'all. My name is T. We'll be talking scary movies. Stay scared.